Welcome to today's show. The propaganda machine is just worse than it's ever been. When we're at a point now where we have movies like Ghostbusters, which of course they continue to produce these movies because of the thickness of the mind control over the masses who grew up on these movies. They want them to pass these movies on to their kids, and then they infiltrate the movies with propaganda galore. So what once seemed like somewhat of a safe movie, even though it's really about demons and summoning spirits, which are demons, Ghostbusters, is now deciding to jump in and tackle the climate agenda. That's right, because the newest ghoul, the newest boogeyman facing the Ghostbusters in the brand new Ghostbusters movie, of course, is climate change. Really, I mean, that's what the mainstream articles are telling us. Now I'm going to show you the trailer here, and you'll see where this is headed. But what I want you to keep an eye on is the fact that we sit here and we see the same story over and over again, okay? The theme of the movie is that New York City goes into a deep freeze, into an ice age. How many times have we seen programming with the same exact script? We've had Ice Age movies, Day After Tomorrow movies, and in each one of these, there is a Ice Age deep freeze that occurs in New York City, which tells us what? It tells us that there is likely going to be weather manipulation used to destroy a lot of these cities, specifically New York City, with some type of an ice age. Now, conveniently, one of the other things that they constantly do is they warn us about global warming, and then when it's convenient in the winter, they just say climate change, and then back in the summer, they talk about global warming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, they never have to address the fact that it used to be a coming ice age in the 70s, 80s, and they flipped it to global warming, and they go every way they want to go, because they know that the audience out there is so stupid that they'll never be suspicious of them. But they wanted to make sure now that people are back in watching movies like Ghostbusters because they're making a lot of money at the box office because everything sucks that they make because there's an agenda and everything. So they say, oh, we can't get people to go see these new woke movies, so we'll take something that everybody likes, like Ghostbusters, and we'll make sure we infiltrate it with agenda after agenda after agenda. Now, I've covered Ghostbusters in the past, even in my first year covering movies and things like that, even on YouTube, where I covered Ghostbusters. There's so many Illuminati tie-ins and satanic tie-ins and cult tie-ins from Ray Stantz, who you'll see in here, his story, the occult story that he has in the movies, of course with Zool, etc. I've covered this in the past, but I did want to point out, before I show you the trailer, that I did cover even Dan Aykroyd. When the new Ghostbuster movie came out, Dan Aykroyd was getting propped up again. Dan Aykroyd has a direction in real life to the occult and summoning presences and spirits, etc., with his parents, which was passed down to him, right? He all claims to see UFOs all the time. That's because he's always in contact and always around demonic entities that he summons through doing rituals. Okay, so there's always a connection to this stuff. And of course, Ray, what is his name? Ray Stantz in the movie, and his real name's Dan Aykroyd. The actor Dan Aykroyd, his brother conveniently died right at the release of the newest Ghostbusters back in 2021 at the age of 66. And we know how the occult works with numerology. But let me show you forget about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, folks. The big fear here, and of course the mainstream media loves it, is the fact that the Ghostbusters are fighting climate change.
I'm telling you, it's going to be another hot one out there. Protect our healers feeling like 100 degrees.
What is that?
For the first time in New York history, people froze to death in the middle of July.
What is it?
The death chill. The power to kill. By fear itself. Your veins turn to rivers of ice. Your bones crack. And the last thing you see is your own tear ducts freezing up.
Like, literally scared to death?
So of course you had some subliminal messaging in there about the freezing of the eye and the zooming in on the eyeball. I mean, the stuff is just so in our faces, it's repetitive. And like I said earlier, you know what else is repetitive? This script. When did you say, hey, they're making a new Ghostbusters movie? Oh goodness, what's the story now? Oh, it's gonna be about an ice age in New York. Oh, didn't we see this one already about 50 times? Why do they do it to you? They do it to you to desensitize you and to program you at the same time. How do you think we live in a society now where people actually think that aliens are flying around in space on UFOs without ever actually seeing these things? I'm not saying demons aren't real. I said it a million times. Demons are aliens. Aleister Crowley taught this in his books and his teaching, the books that they follow, that they would have to rename them, and they did. They call them aliens now. They're really demons, demonic entities. So they constantly just show us this stuff, and they convince you of a real reality, a fake reality being real, and a real reality being fake, right? So all these things that are going on, they constantly reveal to us in movies, and they desensitize us to this stuff in movies. So you see the trailer there. Now, another thing before I read some of the articles which are ridiculous about this trailer, oh yeah, the Ghostbusters are fighting the climate. Who are you going to call when there's incoming apocalyptic climate change scenario? Call the Ghostbusters. I mean, just unbelievable. It really, truly is. But I want to know, I talk about this with Stranger Things. Another thing to keep your eye on, I know it all kind of sounds crazy, but when you start seeing the repetitive patterns, you start thinking to yourself, one of the things I've noticed is, the whole mindset of the climate agenda with cooling the Earth's surface, a lot of these films with demonic presences, like Stranger Things and the Exorcist movies, they always need it to be like chillingly cold. So I think whatever they're trying to bring over and have live on this side, when they pull the veil and bring over these entities, can only survive in a really cold, a cold Earth. And of course, removing carbon out of the air is part of the reason that they're doing it as well. I believe that they're trying to bring over what's on the other side and have it be able to live on this side freely with us. Now, I know that stuff sounds crazy, and I get it. If you're new to all this stuff, it's probably way over your head. You're like, well, this guy doesn't know, this guy's out of his mind. But for those people out there who are wake up and listening for a long time, I think we're all in agreement on that. That there is a pattern that we always see with these movies, these horror films, these Stranger Things types. So remember in Stranger Things in the Upside Down, it's snowing, it's cold, right? You can even look at movies like The Sixth Sense, right? It's cold, the cold air coming out is not the presence of the demonic entities. So there's something to all of this with climate change and needing to cool the Earth, where they're literally trying to remove carbon from there, because I believe these things cannot exist here in this realm, on this side, because that's the way that God made it, to keep them out from this side, and why God put a veil here, right? And they're trying to tear through that veil, tear through, so to speak, the black hole. So keep that in mind with these movies. When we see this pattern as well, not just the pattern of, oh, they're going to freeze New York, which again is not an original script, but you think there's a new Ghostbusters movie, that'd be a new idea. Seen this a million times, it's called The Day After Tomorrow. We've seen it at least 10 times. There's tons of Ice Age movies with the same plot, okay? There's something to all of this when it comes to demons and a very cold, being able to survive in a very cold, a cold environment. And it seems like that's part of tying into this climate agenda as well. So here's the article about the Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire's first trailer makes climate change the true fear. Yeah, it is a fear. It's being enslaved is something I'm fearful of, but at the same time, over my dead body, are they going to get me to participate in the carbon footprint? And I'll go to my deathbed fighting against all these enslavement agendas. And it's really unbelievable that these people have all the things that they have, and they're still just obsessed with controlling us. They're ultimate losers is what they are. They're pathetic dorks. We're psychotic enough to want inside of all of our homes, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who think like I do, and there's no chance in hell, no pun intended, that these people are going to be getting away with these things, at least not on my watch, not while I'm walking the earth. So who are you going to call when there's an incoming apocalyptic death chill scenario? Ghostbusters. Finally, we have a first look at the new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the anticipated follow-up to Ghostbusters Afterlife. This time, we're in New York, the original home of the Ghostbusters, and leads to a new generation of spectral investigators with the help of some of the originals. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is coming out soon. And then it goes on to say, like, you have the Rolling Stone and all these other articles, like, climate change is scary in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire teaser. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire teaser, along Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd come back to combat and fight against climate change. I mean, so you see the trailer, you see where all this stuff is going, right? They use these things to convince people that climate change is real. Now, there will be events that involve the climate. We've already seen it. We see how they turn the HARP machine on. That's why it's so important for people to realize about chemtrailing, geoengineering, HARP, DARPA, all these government organizations that have the ability to manipulate weather. We can go back and look at stuff like Tesla and his earthquake machine. These aren't things like that I'm pulling out of a hat. I mean, just research it yourself. Look up Tesla's earthquake machine. They can make earthquakes. The problem is that people go, why would they make an earthquake? Why would they do all these other things? Oh, I don't know. These people don't seem psychotic enough, you know? Yeah, they would never do that if they had the ability. I mean, you could look at them pretending to be nice, normal people. You could see that they're psychopaths from Obama to Biden to all of them, right? So why would we think that? Well, because we just don't want to believe it because it's a scary idea to know that they can do all this stuff. So now that they're putting, the people need to just use the mindset and see trailers like this and say, it doesn't really look original. That should be the first thing that comes up in anyone's head, whether you're awake or not, right? It's like, okay, they're making a movie. Why are they using, why is that the plot line? They couldn't come up with anything else? Like, haven't we heard that before? Nobody thinks like that. They're just like, cool, I can't wait to see it. And they just keep beating it into repetition about the climate, about an oncoming and a coming ice age, all these things that they're going to create on their own. And they want to freeze the Earth's surface. And I believe it's to bring over things on the other side. I truly do. They're hell-bent on it. It's part of the reason they want to remove carbon from the air, because these things can't clearly exist the way things are set up here, the way God set it up. They want to manipulate and control it. And that's why. Part of the reason why, in addition, of course, to controlling our lives and our every single movement, every single day. And again, I talked about earlier, I'm trying to find the old videos, which really frustrates me about having to do this over and over again, is that I have thousands of videos, and I can't find a majority of them. I have nice, people who have a lot of them saved in archive, but I can't even find them because the metadata and the names of the videos I always have to disguise because the algorithm even reads the name of the uploaded file. So say I did a video on the 1.9er. Well, the upload, and say I named it to a T, that way I could go and find it, so it'd be like C19 and then have something after it, whatever, enslavement, The algorithm reads that, so I'm automatically flagging it and deleting it and sending it to a human to review before it can get live so that they can take it down. So you have to even put metadata in. That makes no sense to just get around their algorithm. So my point being is that I had videos on Dan Aykroyd, and I had videos on Ghostbusters from the past, covering the stuff with Zool, the pyramid, the staircase, even at the end of Ghostbusters, the Freemasonic symbolism that we see with the obelisks, etc., throughout Ghostbusters. But Dan Aykroyd specifically, he's looked at now as like, oh, Dan Aykroyd's in a UFO. He said UFO encounters, all this other crap. Dan Aykroyd is a satanic puppet just like the rest. I hate to break it to people who are like, no, but I like Dan Aykroyd. He's on Saturday Night Live. I like the original Ghostbusters. It's all tainted. Okay, people out there that want to look when I cover all these mainstream music artists of today, and they're like, oh, I'm glad I didn't grow up. You don't think that the Rolling Stones or any of these people? Of course they are. They're all in on it. They're all part of the same cult. So none of it's clean. So you look back, you're like, oh, Ghostbusters are tainted, Ghostbusters. Well, yeah, but it's always been tainted. So Aykroyd's just taking his orders from the New World Order and pushing the climate agenda in the script, which is what they told him to do. Oh, have something that ties in with the climate, please. We want to make sure that we can brainwash enough people to believe when this happens via our weather manipulation that they'll think it has something to do with climate change. Then we're going to lock themselves inside even more and track their every movement with our carbon footprint. Oh, okay, Dan Aykroyd just goes, yeah, sure, whatever, right? Now, when this movie comes out, I don't actually know if I'll actually see it or not, but I think I saw the one Afterlife. I mean, I wasn't very impressed, but I'm not impressed by any of them. But I usually try to watch these things in the past so I can do videos on it for people out there to see. But I'm sure it'll be filled with more deeper occult stuff. Like you saw in the trailer, like I showed you with the eyeball, right? Oh, and then also using the fear, people literally getting scared to death, right? This stuff ties into a lot of the stuff we're doing psychologically through the media as well. So I'm sure the plot will cover that type of stuff because psychologically they're mind warping everybody. They're mind poisoning everybody out there. So people are literally like scared to death. What do you think they just did with the outbreak? People are literally afraid to leave their homes. They still are. There's people out there wearing masks right now. As I speak, as I'm breathing right now doing this video, there are people wearing masks. There's people on YouTube wearing masks doing videos. That's how insane the fear is that they've created. So they know the psychological effects really just mentally lead to people's own demise, whether they off themselves or I can't even say that, but whether they psychologically just kind of take their own lives and start destroying their lives because mentally they can't handle any stuff going on because none of the stuff that they're trying to handle is real because they just create it, the CIA and the intel agencies, and then they feed it to us through all these movies and convince people that these things are reality. Oh, it could really happen. Ghostbusters. Well, yeah, it could happen because they're the ones creating an ice age. They're the ones who are manipulating the weather. It's science, real science. They have the ability to do it with the machines that they have and the technology that they use, and our government does this to us, and it's through our tax money that it's funded. Pretty insane, right? So, Ghostbusters, ladies and gentlemen, just promoting new script, new idea, Frozen Empire. Never heard that one before. I mean, give me an utter break. Thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. God bless all you guys always and your families.